This video is an answer for Calvin, who asked me a very interesting question about when I'm improvising over chord progressions, am I thinking vertically about the chords or horizontally? In Improvise for Real, we start studying chords with an exercise that's called 7 Rules Expanded. And we start with the 7 chords of the major scale, what we call pure harmony. So we study these chords one by one, and in this context, it's very natural and very useful to visualize these chords in a vertical way. For example, the 5 chord, 5, 7, 2, and 4, and the harmonic environment that goes with this chord, the 5th harmonic environment, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we see it this way, in a vertical way, it helps us play melodically over it and feel this attraction, this gravity towards the root of the chord, which is note 5. And also see very clearly the chord notes, the chord stack above the root, right? But what happens when we start combining these chords that we've been studying separately, when we want to combine them in a chord progression? What happens if we keep thinking vertically? Let's take this chord progression, for example, 1, 6, 4, and 5. You see that I'm keeping this view with the root of the chord on the bottom. What happens is that if I try to improvise, I'm not going to be able to visualize the melodic lines that go across these chords because I don't see the connection from one note to the next in the next chord. And what's going to happen is that my improvisation is going to be a little jerky. I'm going to be improvising a little melody in the 1 chord, another little melody in the 6th chord, and it's not going to be flowing, it's not going to be smooth across the chord progression. So let me give you an example of how that would sound like. So you see in my example that when you try to think of each chord of a chord progression in a vertical way, it leads to a very separate improvisation. You are keeping each chord in its compartment, but you're not being able to improvise across the whole chord progression. So let's now see how it would be to visualize the same chord progression in a horizontal way. Now I'm going to bring all the notes of the chords into 1 octave, from 1 to 1, regardless of which note is the root of each chord. So this way, in each chord, I have the notes from 1 to 1, all aligned, and I am marking with a circle, which are the chord notes of each chord. This way, I can see the melodic paths that go across the whole chord progression. And we have an exercise to learn how to do that, to get to know very well a chord progression. It's called melody paths. I'm not going to demonstrate it now because I already have a video that I'm going to link to you that's called melody paths. But this is a great exercise. I love it, and it gives you a sense of what the columns of the chord progression are, where the consonant notes, the tensions, and the releases are in the whole chord progression. It's a very useful exercise. So what I'm going to do now is demonstrate a melodic improvisation across these chords, but sing it more in this way, in a horizontal way, trying to create these melodic paths that are not so focused in creating melodies inside each chord, but like more in trying to create melodies that go across the whole chord progression. But you know that the goal of all these exercises is to be able to not think either horizontally or vertically, to just flow and play and express yourself. These exercises are great to get to know the sounds of each chord, the sound of the chord progression, to connect all these notes together. But what we want, the goal, is to let go of all that and just play freely, without boundaries, without thinking, without visualizing. Finally, when we improvise, when we know very well the harmonic content of a song or a chord progression, we are able to improvise without thinking so much of things. We are always oriented, We know our way around the key of the music. Even if there are chords from outside the key, we are oriented. We know where we are, but we are not thinking and visualizing all this map at once. These exercises are very useful to study harmony, but the goal is to let go of everything and just express yourself. If you're a student and you have any questions or doubts about the method, please feel free to post them in the comment section, because we're very happy to help you in your musical journey, but also we're trying to create a beautiful community here where we get inspired and we help each other. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to make sure that you receive all our new videos.